In Queensland, Australia, there is a very odd rock formation known as the Black Mountain, or the Mountain of Death. These massive burnt boulders were made about 250 million years ago by boiling magma. But the way these massive rocks are placed makes it seem that someone or something deliberately placed them there, making a lot of people speculate very tall beings, or maybe extraterrestrial activity. I mean, this is one place that the natives avoid at all cost. Now, there are so many caves, tunnels, and mazes within this mountain, making it very easy for someone to get lost. And you can also hear very disturbing sounds, such as screaming and moaning, when you get close enough. Now, this location is known for some very strange sightings and disappearances, and the natives have a lot of very disturbing stories involving the Black Mountain. One of the most famous of these stories involves a wicked medicine man, and this man is known as the Eater of Flesh. The local tribe was so scared of this man that they would actually let him eat their old and sick, hoping to appease his cravings for human flesh. Even the animals keep their distance from this place, and pilots avoid flying over it as they experience some very strange anomalies, such as equipment failure and strange turbulence. Now, since so many pilots are afraid of flying over this location, they even had it tested back in 1991. And everything came back normal, only deepening the mystery of the Black Mountain, making scientists wonder, what the heck is causing all these anomalies? Now, what really makes the Black Mountain, or the Mountain of Death, so terrifying is all the mysterious disappearances. One of the first reported disappearances happened in 1877 when a courier went out on horseback searching for a missing calf. When the courier failed to return, a search party was dispatched, but he and his horse was never seen again. Then an outlaw named SUGARFOOTJACK and his gang were on the run from the authorities, and they decided to hide out in one of the caves within Black Mountain. The authorities wasted no time, and they tracked these outlaws, but they can never find them, and still to this very day, not one trace of them has ever been found. Then again, in 1890, another man running from the law decided to hide in one of these caves, and one brave police officer decided to go into the cave and apprehend him, and he too was never seen again. Now, the Black Mountain started to get a reputation from the white settlers. The natives have always known to stay clear of this place. And in the 1920s, two reporters were determined to get to the bottom of this mystery. And they went to the Black Mountain, and they too were never seen again. Even the trackers that went to go look for them also disappeared. Now, there are so many cases just like this, making the Black Mountain one place to never go. Now, some believe that there is a huge labyrinth of underground tunnels within the Black Mountain, and this massive, uncharted tunnel system is responsible for all these vanishings. And that might very well be true, but the fact that no one has ever come out after they've gone missing makes me believe that something else might just be going on here. A very interesting encounter comes from a man named Ivan in 2001. Now, his encounter was so terrifying that he even wrote an article about it. Ivan and his friend Danny decided to camp at the bottom of the Black Mountain one night, as it was getting very dark and they were getting very tired. Now, while they were setting up camp, they noticed that it was extremely silent. There was absolutely no sound at all. And this frightened the men, as there is usually a lot of animal noises in the outback, especially at night. Then as the men were sleeping, they noticed that the sounds of the rocks from the mountain started to crumble. It's as if something was slowly coming out of the mountain. Then they started to hear footsteps, and these footsteps started to get louder and louder. Ivan and Danny were convinced that this was a man, and Danny just couldn't take it anymore. So he ran outside his tent as fast as he could in hopes of scaring this person away. And Ivan was right behind him with a torch in his hand. Then these two men saw something right out of the X-Files. They saw a huge black mass coming towards them. Then this dark mass just evaporated right into thin air. And right after it evaporated, the noise that one would expect to hear in the outback returned. Now, the men were terrified, and they got out of there as fast as they could. Now, this place is a paranormal researcher's paradise, and most who are brave enough to go there return home with some pretty amazing stories. Now, since we're covering this very creepy subject, I've heard some very disturbing tales about Everest. In 2004, a Sherpa, coming back down from Everest after claiming to have just broken the ascent record, said that he had come face to face with some dark, shadowy figures. And these dark shadows had their hands out, and they were begging him for food. Now, just hours before this terrifying encounter, he saw a lot of frozen dead bodies, and one of them was still hanging from a rope. And this is not the only incident. Other climbers have returned to tell very similar tales, and as of today, there's about 240 estimated deaths on Everest. Another very strange encounter happened when a female climber named Wanda tragically died while climbing a very difficult mountain. On the next day, one of her friends got a very mysterious phone call, When she picked up her phone, she heard Wanda's voice, and she was very happy and excited, and she was thanking God that she was still alive, because she was just informed a couple hours ago that she was dead. But there was something very odd about this phone call, as Wanda kept saying that she was very cold and she could never return home. Now this woman believes without a shadow of a doubt that she spoke to Wanda's ghost. Then, a British female climber named Julie died on K2, and not too long after her death, 2 hikers were resting at base camp when they heard a voice on their radio. And this voice repeatedly kept saying, "Camp 4 to base camp, can you read over?" Now the climbers were terrified right away, as they knew there were no other climbers on the mountain. And this voice was female, and it had a British accent. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned.